Landon DuPont of Calgary.
It's Michael Misa on the power play with a move. Wassler the shot, scores!
For the hat trick, McKenna, he scores. Roll the highlight reel.
Schaefer with a shot, scores! Matthew Schaefer.
A lot of the focus, at least at number one early on, has been on James Higgins.
What's going on, guys? We got episode number 8 of the Brady Films Prospects podcast. We got a big tourney to talk about. Going to be talking about maybe some younger guys this episode with the Pewee International Quebec Tourney. So 2012s.
I think 2013.
No, it's 2012s. It's 2012s. It's U13, man. I know this. Double check it, but I know this. Anyway,
check it.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there. Unfortunately, we had a lot of snow in Toronto and Montreal, so I couldn't go, which was disappointing. But nonetheless, it was an amazing tournament. If you guys don't know what it is, it's basically all the best AAA teams minus the GTHL teams. GTHLs aren't allowed to go for some reason. I don't think the G teams don't go, but all the best 2012 AAA teams pretty much internationally are there. Like there's European teams, teams from Quebec, teams from Ontario, teams from all over Canada are there. Burnaby was there, Little Caesars, and then there's even a team from Hungary. There's a team from Switzerland. It's insane. It's played at the Videotron Center in Quebec, just outside of Quebec City, and there's literally probably 2,000-3,000 fans there every single day. It's an insane tournament. So before we get into that though, Ryan, what's been going on with you? I know last episode was like a week and a half ago. So what have you been doing?
You were sick. I'm glad to see that you're doing better.
Yeah, I'm better now. Took a little trip to the Four Nations. Now we're back.
I know that we'll talk about that too, but I'm doing good. You know, we're out here living. Just happy to be back. I'm just so happy to be back.
Here we go, boys. We'll get right into the winners of the tournament here. We've already spoke about them, I think, in our first or second episode. Mid Fairfield 2012. They ended up winning the tournament, basically dominating the whole way through. They're 68-0-2, so they're undefeated. Ryan, I'll let you get into them a bit here, but these games they played again. This tournament is pretty much all of the best AAA teams minus the GTHL teams from Ontario. But they just rolled through the competition, Ryan. Like it wasn't even close, basically.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. Last time we mentioned them, they were 47-0. I looked at the clip earlier. They have now improved to 68-0-2.
Yeah.
Which is a ridiculous record. I don't care how old you are. I don't care who you play against. 68-0-2 is an absurd record to have. Like any team, I get it. Maybe like you're 24-0 or like even 30-0, but like 68-0 to start. 70 games for a U12 team in the United States. U12 is kind of nuts. 70 games, and it's only February. That's kind of ridiculous.
Well, do they have nationals at this age or no? No nationals yet.
No, national starts at U13, but I mean they probably still have like another 20 games to go in the year, maybe 15, 20 games. So
I don't think they lose.
If they don't,
I don't think this team's gonna lose.
I
They
think
went down to Ontario. They tied and beat the 1 and 2 team in Ontario. They went to the Pewee Quebec, beat all the best American teams. They beat the 6th ranked team. Anyway, we'll get into it right now. So game 1, they won 4-0. Game 2, 3-0. Game 3, they played Honey Baked, which is the number 9th ranked team in the US. They beat them 6-0. That just goes to show how much of the gap is between them and the 9th ranked team in the country. They're just going out casual 6-0 win. And game 4, they played the host team, like Montreal Canadiens, but they're like their actual winner team, Select Du Nord. They're the 6th ranked team in Canada, number 1 team in all of Quebec. They beat them 5-1
Nice.
in the quarters. Casual 5-1 win over the number 6 team in Canada. I really wish the G teams were allowed to play in this tournament just because I want to see them go. But they tied JRC, which is the second team, and they beat North York Rangers.
Who's number 1, right?
North York Rangers, and they beat them, but they've only played each other once. Anyway, semifinals, 9-1 win. And then in the finals was their hardest game. They played the 5th ranked Little Caesars team, which was called in the tournament Detroit Junior Wings, I think.
Yeah.
They beat them 4-2.
So pretty close. But again, like look at their schedule. And I mean, this is awesome of these kids, but it's not like they're 68-0, but they're not blowing out every team 10-0. Like they've had some close games, but I think it's cooler to see that like they can compete with top level teams because they are playing. Like
these guys they've played the best. They've played all the best teams in North America.
Yeah, they're not playing bad teams and just dominating. Like they're in 1-goal, 2-goal games, like overtime games, and they pull it out every time. So
yeah, I mean, this team's also coached by I don't know her name. We should get her name. We should get her on the podcast.
We should get her
on the podcast after the season just to talk to her. Obviously, such a special group they have. At this age, to like they haven't took one game off. They show up every time. Finals 4-2, so a close game, but that's a really strong Little Caesars team. They beat 5th in the country, and they're still beat them 4-2. So yeah, they only had 3 goals allowed all tournament.
They had 3 goals the whole tournament allowed.
Only 3 goals allowed. 2 of them were in the finals. Wait, no, sorry. No, that's wrong. 4 goals allowed.
Oh, sorry. That's
allowed 1 in the quarterfinals, 1 in the semifinals, 2 in the finals.
Yeah, just kudos to these kids. I hope that they like stay together because if they can, then I can film them in the next few years. But
yeah, I mean these guys, bunch of talent. We'll get into the standings. The statistics, like all the player stats, but a bunch of really talented. The whole group is just insane. So yeah by far these guys are the best 2012 team in the world. I like to see them get more come down to Ontario, play the GTHL teams a couple more times. I don't think they will though, because it's towards the end of the season. Yeah. If they go undefeated, are they one of the best minor hockey teams ever put together? If they go 80-0,
I feel like yes. If you go 80-0, I feel like you just automatically insert.
And you're playing all the best teams too, so you can't even argue.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the kids on the team, I'm sure there's going to be some really, really good kids. I don't really know a lot about them because they're so young, but in the next few years, you'll probably see a few names pop up.
Yeah. So. Shout out to these guys. We got to get the coach on and maybe some players at the end of the year. I just want to talk to them. That's insane. That's insane. I've never seen anything like that at that age, 68-0. We'll keep going, though. We want to talk about Liam Tepp. He was a 2013 underager playing in the tournament. If you guys don't know who he is, he played in the Brick tournament. He's a 2013, so played in the Brick tournament not this summer, but last summer. No, not last summer, but the summer before that. You get what I mean. He put up six games played, 24 points in the Brick tournament. He broke Cole Caulfield's record, and he holds the record for the most points in any tournament. When I was at the Four Nations, I met up with him and his parents at a hotel. I just talked to him for 10 minutes. Super nice kid. He's playing a year up for I'm going to butcher their name, Quebec du Nord. They're the number 1 team in Quebec for 2012, and they're the number 6 team in Canada for 2012. He's a 2013, so he's playing basically a year up with the best team in his province.
He's a pretty big kid, too. Look at him.
I know. He's a big kid, yeah. So I was supposed to go there and film him, do a day in the life with him and film the tournament. That didn't happen because of the snow. But he lit up the tournament. They only played, I think, 4 games. We'll get into the stats soon. But he only played 4 games, I think, and he had 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists. So yeah, definitely a player to watch on. Did you pay attention when he was at the Brick tournament? He lit it up.
Yeah, I remember. Pusateri, who's a 2014, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. He lit it up, and then that kid Colby Coombe too. He's a 2013. He lit it up. You watched Coombe and Tep.
No, I watched Cameron Coombe and Pusateri this year, but they'll be at the Pewee Quebec next
What was
year.
like the summer? Was there like a summer tour that you were at where they were there or no?
No, I was like an early bird. I don't even know. But they were like Tep was like 2 years ago. They ended up winning the brick tournament. But yeah, so he's playing up now with 2012s as an underager. I wish he had points. He doesn't have points on the year, but in his 4 games he played at the Pewee Quebec, he had 3 goals and 3 assists. They ended up losing 5-1 against Mid Fairfield. So unfortunate end for the tournament for his team, but pretty impressive for him.
I don't think this is important at all, but I'm gonna say it because it's kind of ridiculous, and I think that you'll agree with me. So he's a 2013, and I was looking at his Elite Prospects before. He has 50,000 views on Elite Prospects.
I know he's definitely a kid you want to keep your eye on. He's playing a year up now against some of the best kids in his province, and he's dominating.
How old is he? 12, 11, 12?
Yeah, I don't know. I talked to him at a hotel. I gave him a Brady Films hat. Me and Coach Chippy, we talked to him. He's a super nice kid. He's actually next. He's like, I watched him play in the summer, with kids his like up a year, I think, or maybe his own age. He's just so good. His skating's so good. His hockey IQ is so good. He's like. I watched him also at the Power Edge Pro Camp in Toronto. He was skating with the U14 age group when he was U12 last year. So he was skating with kids 2 years older than him, and he was like the best in the group. Like you wouldn't be able to tell. He's like, yeah. So remember the name Liam Tep.
Remember the name.
He's definitely someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, getting into the stats here for the tournament. No surprise here. Mid Fairfield, both players at the top. Jack Brayman and then Jack Allgood. I remember Jack Allgood played in the brick tournament. I think he did really good. Anyway,
yeah, that name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, he played in the brick tournament. I think he lit it up too if you want to go to his Elite Prospects. But anyway, Jack Brayman, 6 games played, 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points on the tourney. Second leading scorer, Jack Allgood. He finished 6 games played, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points.
He's actually from Minnesota.
Yeah, I know.
He's from Minnesota, so I don't know if he's just with Mid Fairfield for the tournament or how that situation
No. He plays with them all year long because I watched him play with them earlier in the year.
Oh, he must.
And yeah, they're both really good players.
Cool.
4th leading scorer, shout out Elgin Middlesex Chiefs from Ontario. They didn't have the best tournament, but still a very good team. Wes Arnold. He only played 4 games too. He had 8 points. So
good tournament.
Yeah, good tournament. And then Igor, I don't even know how to say his last name. Do you know how to say that?
Karpovtsev.
Karpovtsev. Anyway, yep. we just butchered his name. He's a 2012 for the Los Angeles Junior Kings.
Sounded
3
out.
games played, 9 points. 6 of those were goals.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so tons of young talent. I know, like at this tournament, it's like kind of like best on best. Almost like every single team there is so good. So it's a little harder to put up points. But again, Liam Tep as an underager who only played 4 games in the tournament, sitting 17th in the scoring in the tournament. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we need to get him on the pod soon. I think that'd be.
We got to get him on the pod. He's super good player. He'll be playing in the summer with JDT Wolfpack, which is like Quebec's. It's like a really strong program in Quebec and Montreal that they run. It's like pretty much all the best kids from Quebec and Montreal go to like travel tournaments. So yeah, that's pretty much it from the tournament. I wish I could have gone.
Me too, Brady.
So sad about that. My whole flight got canceled. It was just.
Yeah, Brady texted me and he was like, "I'm not going to Quebec." I was like,
"Yeah, well, I was just so mad."
Like, well, the snow. It's unfortunate.
The snow just ruined it. We can talk a little bit about 4 Nations, though.
You could talk about it.
You don't have much to say about it because your team lost. Canada. I actually got to go with Coach Chippy. I was his videographer down there. It was pretty fun. We got to go to the Sweden-Canada game, which was like crazy. Canada won in overtime.
Yeah, I think they're gonna blow it. It's kind of embarrassing.
And then I was like, I gotta get out of here because I gotta be in Quebec in 2 days, and there's a huge snowstorm. So I left the Saturday morning. I should have stayed though because I missed Canada, US, and Montreal when there was like 3 fights. I could have gone to that game, but I didn't want to get stuck in Montreal because I thought I had to fly to Quebec.
And
so I was like,
from your couch. I enjoyed your reaction to the fights on TikTok. That was a good video.
oh, that was a great video. But yeah, we got a special little segment today since we only had one tournament to talk about. We're gonna do a little Q&A. So I put on my story, my Snapchat story. I said, me and Ryan are filming an episode. Ask us some questions you want to be answered. So maybe we do this every episode. We pick 5 questions or something, answer them. I like where this is going though. First question, coming from Wesley, who is winning 15U Nationals, so 2009 Nationals? Ryan, this seems like your area of expertise here. If you want to answer Wesley's question.
Who's winning? I feel like I got to go with the Mount St. Charles boys. Ranked number 1 right now. They won it last year. Been off to a hot start this year, so I gotta give it to them.
All right, that's a good pick. If I'm gonna answer, I'm gonna say Shattuck. I don't follow a lot of American minor hockey. The one time I got to pay attention to them was when they came to Oakville at that Oakville tournament. They lost to Don Mills in the finals. They did better than Mount in that tournament. So that's what I'm going off. They got some good players too. I'm drawing a blank on the players. I'm drawing a huge.
It happens.
You got to help me out here. Shattuck. They got some studs.
Jerry DiConzolo,
That's the
Brady
name.
Gordon, and Bradley Brown all have over 100 points this year.
I don't know where the Nationals are, but I got Shattuck 2009 winning.
They're in Wisconsin.
So we'll play this clip when Shattuck or Mount either wins. We'll see who's right. Next question is coming in from Robbie. So, shout out Robbie. Thanks for the question. Is Dryston Thomas him? This was a question I liked. I liked Robbie's question here. Have you seen him play in person? Dryston Thomas. He's 2011 who plays on Little Caesars. I got to watch him at the Silver Stick. Really good player. He kind of he could honestly be playing a year up. I think he's that good. He's just it was my first time watching him, and I knew he was good. And then he got the puck, put it through a guy's stick, went end to end, and scored in the Silver Stick final.
I saw that goal. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, wow. It was a good defender too. He just made him look like nothing, kind of like McDavid does. He's making the USA guys look like bums out there, really.
Yeah. I got you.
But yeah, this is a good question. I liked it. Have you seen him play? I've seen you post about him.
I've posted him once, maybe twice. I know once. It was a few weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure it was the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard a lot about him. This is the time in the year where I kind of start to do some research on guys to pay attention to for the 2011 group. So he's obviously one guy that I have my eye on for next season to keep track of.
Yeah, he's really good. We'll get into a next question here.
That's a crazy question to ask, though. But respect.
Bo81. We're getting into some personal stuff here. Getting to know about Brady Films and Ryan, Puck Prospects. What is the first ever hockey number you wore?
First ever or favorite?
No, first ever. What's your first ever hockey number you wore?
I've worn so many. My first number, I'll say 43.
43. That's not a bad one.
Because I was obsessed with, not obsessed, it's a really weird word to use, but I was a big fan of Jack Hughes. And even before he went to the NTDP.
Up and coming. So even from a young age, little Ryan was like, this kid's a prospect. You loved the prospects from a young age.
Yeah, well, the first number I ever wore was number 10, but there's absolutely no meaning to it. I kind of just got to say.
Yeah, just the Housley, squirts just give you a number.
But the first number I chose was number 43. I was paying attention to Jack Hughes, and he was in the Marlies, and he did the sock with his stick, and he'd do the puck marks on the toe. I thought that tape job was
so you were so little puck prospects. You were always interested in the prospects coming
Yeah,
up.
but that's when I was a player, so I was more paying attention to the
True.
skill.
True.
So
I like that.
Mimic what he does.
My first number was in Super 7 for the Markham Waxers. Super 7 is like what we have in Ontario. It's not even a thing anymore, actually. They don't even do it. It's like AAA. It's like AAA for 7-year-olds, basically.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. Mine was 87 because do you remember like the Reebok Sidney Crosby stick?
Gosh, bro, be a
No, dude. Do you remember you had the Reebok Sidney Crosby stick?
Yeah.
I had that, and so I was like, why not keep the
Yeah.
trend going? I wore number 87.
Nice.
And then we actually lost in the Ontario OMHA finals that year to Richmond Hill. So tragic ending. Next question here. Let me find a good one.
I like the personal question, that one.
Yeah, let's try to get more personal questions. Oh, here we go. This can be one for both of us. What is the favorite rink you've ever filmed at? Could be any rink.
You go first.
Okay, I'm gonna go first. I got a couple. I recently just got to film at the Bell Center, which is pretty cool for the Creator game at the Four Nations, like with Coach Chippy. So that rink, but if you're talking like minor hockey rinks in Ontario, my favorite rink to film at is St. Andrews College in Aurora. Such a nice facility. It's like there's like an area you can stand above with like a track and just look down on the ice. There's glass. Really nice rink. So that's probably my two favorite rinks that I've filmed at so far.
My favorite is the rink I like is Little Caesars practice rink.
Mm-hmm.
But the only problem is the parking situation. It took me like 30 minutes to park. I went like 4 times around the building. It was a joke. Missed the first half of the game, but it's fine. So that's number 1.
Yeah, it's a nice rink there.
I probably sound like such a loser right now. Number 2, I'll say in Florida. I'm just in Florida. The weather helped. So
yeah, that was a nice tournament. That looked like a sick rink.
Yeah,
sick rink.
Yeah.
This one can apply to both of us. Reed Simpson here. Shout out Reed. How did you start your journey on Brady Films / Puck Prospects? I'll keep mine quick. I bought a camera. I saved up enough money. I was working at a golf course, and I bought a camera. I was a cart boy, and I bought a camera, and it was really bad. It was a horrible camera. But I started going to my friends' games, and I just started recording them because I wasn't playing anymore. This was like the year after I stopped. So I started recording them, and I started posting them on Instagram and TikTok for fun. Like I was just doing it because I loved filming, and I still do. Yep. So then it just kind of grew. Like more teams started asking me around the area, and I'd post their clips. And then now I'm here. And that's how Brady Films started. So Ryan, if you want to tell everyone how Puck Prospects.
I want to start a crazy idea. We should host a sandbagger this summer.
I like that.
Me and you can take on someone from where you are, or you could come to me. We should verse 2 players, and we'll make a YouTube channel for the podcast, and we'll host the sandbagger, and we'll 2v2 scramble. I know that no one out there wants to smoke for me and Brady because we'll light up anybody.
I think we do it. I think the only way we're winning is if we do against a couple U10 AAA players. I think we win.
You have me on your team. Well, trust me.
True.
We'll be fine.
I'm not very good though. Anyway, how did Puck Prospects start?
It came into my head, and I was like, I got to throw this out there.
But Reed wants to know here. Reed wants to know, how did Puck Prospects start?
I started when I was 15 in quarantine. Just kind of was on Instagram one day, got bored, and I was like, and I've always loved like prospects and like before the NHL, how that kind of scenario played out. So I really just started posting videos on Instagram of top kids kind of in the US and Canada for my age. I'm an 05. So really just started posting videos of really good 05s and then some 04s. And then honestly, I was asking kids, I was like, you shout me out. Because it's pretty simple too. Like if you post a kid who's 13, 14, they're gonna shout it out, and their teammates are gonna shout it out, and then it's gonna, spiral a little bit. So, started doing that, and then, things just kind of started to take off. I grew like 1,000 followers in like the span of a week. Not a week, probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I've got a following, like. So I did it, kept it completely secret for like 3.5 years, probably. And then right near the end of 2023, I think, or no, the start of 2024, no, the end of 2023. I told some people who were close to me, and then I stopped playing hockey at the end of 2024 season. So that's when I kind of just went public with it, and now it's kind of what it is.
Now everyone knows puck prospects. Everyone knows.
Everyone, but those who do, I appreciate it.
Most people. Next question coming in from Nathan. We'll do a couple more here. Shout out Nathan. This one's a little bit of a long one. If the top QMGHL prospect versus, there goes my ring light, versus the top OHL prospect, who's winning? So this is a hard question to answer, but I'm going to go ahead here.
You pick your two guys, like you pick your OHL
this year, like we're going off this year's draft.
Yeah,
I guess that's what Nathan wants. So I'm going to go. James Scantlebury is probably going to be the number one Q, and then OHL. There's not really like a for sure number one yet. I'm going to go with my boy Charlie Murata. We had him on the pod. I think in a one-on-one situation, I don't even know, dude.
I feel like it's not right of us to sit here and be like, this kid's gonna beat this kid. But,
yeah, I don't really know who's gonna. It's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah, that's a great, very well thought out question, Nathan. However, I don't think it's right of us to.
Yeah, I don't really know who's gonna win in a one-on-one, but I'd love to watch it.
I would love to watch it as well.
Okay, we'll do two more. I'm gonna pick some great questions here. We got my boy Owen. Is there anyone who has Owen O'Brien? Is there anyone who's inspired you guys to start what you guys are doing, the podcast or filming in general? I can answer this. I saw some football videos one day of high school football on my Instagram, and I was like, this is so cool how these high school kids are being filmed professionally. I really wonder if anyone's doing it with hockey. So I did some research, and there was a couple people doing it at the time who like were just starting out, and they kind of like a little bit of a following, but no one was doing it in Ontario specifically. So I took that inspiration that I saw on Instagram, and I said I just brought a camera, started filming my buddies, and that's kind of what inspired me to start.
Yeah,
and the podcast. For the podcast, I didn't really have an inspiration. My inspiration was meeting Ryan. That was my inspiration. I met Ryan in Philly, and I was like, we should start a podcast. That was my inspiration.
Yeah, we didn't really the podcast. I'll start the podcast and I'll go to myself. We didn't really have any inspirations. It was more of like we realized that no one was doing anything even close to what we wanted to do, so we figured it'd be cool to, just try it. And now it is what it is. I mean, we're 8 episodes in and doing pretty well. So we appreciate it.
10K soon. 10K followers on TikTok coming soon, guys. Very soon.
But for me, inspiration-wise, there wasn't really any creators that inspired me, but it was very similar kind of in the way that you said it. It was more of like basketball. I saw like, Mikey Williams and like all those guys. And they have like 1 million followers at like 13, 14 years old. And I was like, why can't hockey players get the same recognition? Like, it's so cool that these basketball guys are doing what they're doing. They're celebrities as kids, but why can't hockey players get the same amount of attention through the media and stuff? And some kids don't like it and other kids do, but I think it's good for the game. Getting kids' names out there when they're younger, especially when they deserve it. So it's kind of where I
Ryan's doing God's work over here. He's promoting all these young prospects in America and Canada.
Yeah, for the kids. I do it for the kids.
Yeah, he's for the kids. Next up, we got two more because I found two really good ones. Sean O'Brien. You guys always say you're planning on bringing on new podcast guests in the future. Who do you guys plan to bring on?
Oh, I thought you were about to say you guys always say you plan on bringing new guests and you don't bring anyone on. It was just going to be him ripping us. But
no, Sean, well, we've already had some like pretty well-known guests, I'd say. The issue is it's kind of hard to get people on during their season because they're also busy with like, a lot of these kids are dealing with like their draft to the CHL or playoffs are starting or they're like practicing 4 times a week. So that's kind of been what we've been struggling with. But if you want to give some names, Ryan, of who we want to come on the podcast.
Yeah, again, I'll say it now. None of these guys are confirmed, I guess, but some guys that we're hoping to have on in the summer. We'd love to have Landon Dupont on, obviously. We've talked about that a bunch. That's probably one name that I'll drop, and then we'll try to get a few draft-eligible guys. But
I really want to talk to Matthew Schaefer.
Yeah, I want to get him on too.
We just kind of want to get on, as this podcast grows, I think we want to get on up-and-coming kids who are eligible for the CHL drafts, eligible to be named onto the U.S. National Development Program team, and then some guys draft eligible to the NHL. And I think as more episodes come, it's going to be easier to get the guests and stuff.
Yeah,
but there's gonna be some good guests on. I think Michael Misa for our first episode was huge. Massive. Shout out to him because he did not have to do that.
Might go number 1 this year. He's lighting it up.
He's lighting it up. It must have been the podcast. The podcast.
He was doing like really mediocre, and then he came on, and then he went like
on the podcast. We had the little conversation.
I'm completely joking. He's been letting it up all season, but yeah, I mean, you guys supporting kind of what we're doing here. We could only, I hate to say this, it sounds so cliche, but it really can only go up from here. So the more that we grow, the easier it is to get these top names on. So,
yeah, for sure. Last question of the episode here is coming in from B_Pope. He says, we might have to change his question up a little bit, but he says, top 5 next generational, I'm just going to switch this question up. Top 2 next possible generational talent minor hockey players of any age. I can give you my 2.
So far we can go.
Yeah, I can give you
2. You give 2 or 3, and I'll give 2 or 3.
Okay, I think 2 kids coming up. I'll give 1 maybe younger guy and then 1 older guy who possibly could be generational talents. I mean, it's so no one really knows, but I can. Are we
talking about guys who are like undrafted, or even guys?
Yeah. Like he said, minor hockey. So,
okay,
I'm guessing like U16 and below, probably. First one we already talked about him on the episode. I'm going to go Liam Tepp. He's dominated at every single level, playing a year up already against some of the top teams, AAA teams in North America, and he's still dominating. His brick performance was unreal. He lit it up. And I also met him in Montreal, so that kind of helps. He was a really nice guy. We should get him on the pod. My second player, I'm probably going to steal one of yours here, but I think Maddox Schultz. Like, how can you not say him? Yeah. He's 2010 born, playing U18 hockey right now, dominating. I don't know how many points he has, but he's probably at like over 2 a game, I think. So those are my
91 points in like 40-something games.
Yeah. So those are my 2 guys.
So he's over 100 throughout the year.
You guys maybe want to, give them a follow on Instagram. Go pay attention to what they're doing. Those are guys to keep an eye
on. For me, it's so hard because I hate judging kids when they're younger. But like some kids, you could just see and you just know that they're gonna be so good. And Maddox is kind of one of them. Maddox and Liam Pewee are both gonna be really good. 2 different styles of play, but they're both just lights out. I've seen both of them play in person too. So I feel like I'm allowed to kind of make that judgment. But I I was definitely gonna say Maddox Schultz. He's a stud. And then for Americans, two kids who recently have really, not recently, but one kid recently is Joey Cullen, Minnesota kid. He is disgusting.
That's the guy who plays on the
Morehead.
Yeah.
He is actually ridiculously gross. No, he's nasty.
Yeah, I actually want to talk. I was planning to talk about this. We can get into this. I saw his team beat his Bantam team, AAA team, beat 2010 Shattuck.
For the sixth time this year, Shattuck hasn't beat him yet.
So is he like the powerhouse in their team, or?
Yeah, he's really, really good. But that whole Morehead team is nasty. And I think that, yeah, you're right. We should completely change the topic and talk about this because I was seeing tweets today that, is this Morehead team the best team in the world? Because
I think they are. We've had comments on the Caesars thing saying Little Caesars should play them.
Yeah, and it's so annoying because I wish they could go to nationals, but this Morehead team, they're Bantam AA, they're AAA, obviously. Yeah. It's just how it works in Minnesota. But they've swept Shattuck. I think they're 6-0 against Shattuck this season. I think they've lost 2 games this year, all season, maybe. But they need to be in the talk for
the best. Yeah, because we didn't really pay attention to them because it's hard on the rankings because they only play Minnesota teams. They're not ranked as high as they should be. Yeah. So they're not really ranked as high as they should be because of how My Hockey Rankings works. They're not playing against any of the top 5 teams except for Shattuck.
Yeah.
All the teams they play are way down, so it's hard for them to advance. So we got a bunch of comments on that clip we released of is Little Caesars the best 2010 team in the world?
Someone also commented you should probably drop the team name, and I don't want to be rude, but
yeah, you just see in the jerseys. Anyway,
you were like, it's in the name, bro. It was still, I was cracking up. Sorry, yeah. It was funny.
A bunch of people were saying the Morehead Bantams would come and destroy them. Yeah, I don't think the game will ever happen. It's too late in the season, and
yeah, it's definitely not gonna happen. But I think that next year Joey Cullen should be going to high school. I'm pretty sure he'll be a freshman. So he should be really fun to watch next year in high school. It's the first time, I think, in a really long time that we've had, not a really long time, but in a while, where there's been a freshman kind of come into Minnesota high school. It's going to be legit. But yeah, overall, to kind of recap that, I think that the Morehead team is one of the best 2010 born teams in the world. Not the U.S., the world, because swept Shattuck, 6-0 against Shattuck.
They should come play some teams in Ontario.
I think that it's.
I don't think they're allowed to though, because Minnesota does it so different. They don't do tournaments, do they?
They've done a few, but they're all in Minnesota.
Yeah, so
but Cullen and a few other guys will be. A good amount of that team will be at WSI, so you could see them there.
I'm excited. Then I'm excited. To wrap up the episode.
We should have a meet and greet at WSI.
WSI Brady Films Prospects Pod meet and greet. We'll have at least 6 people show up.
I was thinking 5.
5, probably 5 people show up, but that's okay. That's a joke.
We don't want to do a meet and greet. If you see us, come up to us though. That'd be nice.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be the first time we've been together since Philly, I guess. Right?
Reuniting.
Yeah, reuniting. We're planning on doing maybe an in-person
podcast
in the tournament.
Drop some 2010s below who you want to see featured.
Yeah. But to wrap up the episode, I guess next episode is going to be next week. Sometime it's Wednesday. You guys are seeing us on Wednesday. So next week, we're going to be talking about playoffs. Playoffs are pretty much, they've already begun here in Ontario. We're kind of in the first round here in the GTHL and OMHA. I don't know about America. Are they starting playoffs?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. So we can get into playoffs. Who the favorites are to win nationals? Maybe get some players who are going to be playing in nationals, possibly. I think that's the goal. And we're going to do a whole playoff recap. Who are which minor hockey teams are favorited to win their playoffs? Maybe talk about Ontario provincials for U18 and U15, 2 big tournaments. And then obviously go through nationals and talk about all the favorites to win nationals. And it's coming. It's already the end of February. So when are nationals? March?
April. First week of April.
Okay, so you guys go a little longer. We're done in like March in Ontario. But yeah, it's going to be a good episode next episode.
April 1st through 7th, I think they are.
Yeah.
But they're in U13, U14 is in Michigan, and then U15, U16 is in Wisconsin, I believe. So
it's gonna be fun. Here in Ontario, we got Winchell Cup, Toronto.
Oh yeah, when is that?
March. And then we got U18 AAA provincials, which is like doesn't really have a lot of hype to it, but it's in Ottawa. And then U15 provincial is going to be wild. All the best teams in Ontario for 2010. Markham Majors are the host team. Ryan's getting notifications.
No, that was my water bottle. Apologies about that.
Well, yeah, if you lasted the 41 minutes and you guys listened to all our Q&A, you guys are OG. DM us. We've gotten a lot of grapes. What was the emoji lot? It was
strawberry.
We've gotten
blueberries this time.
Okay, so if you guys made it to the end of the episode, make sure you DM us on Instagram. Handles at the bottom of the screen. If you're listening on Spotify, it's the Brady Films Prospects Podcast. Shoot us a DM with just the blueberry emoji. We'll hit you with a follow on Instagram. If you guys are already following the TikToks, we drop clips of like the highlights of every episode. So go follow us on there. And yeah, every episode's on Spotify too. If you guys ever want to listen, like when you're in class or a car ride to a game, we'll get you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, next episode,
I'm on the way to the gym. I usually listen to this because I need some sort of motivation. So I listen.
Yeah, you listen to yourself on the way to the gym.
That's how I roll.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. A little playoff preview next week. See you guys next week.